Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys this evening. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's get straight on into it. So on the show tonight, we're going to be talking about more delays over the Manchester United takeover. We'll also be bringing you the update on Amad Diallo, who is now back in first team training, which is a massive, massive positive for Manchester United. And we will be exploring the Stuttgart striker Guirassy, who apparently has now started entering talks with Manchester United over a January move. Lots of other bits to get into on this evening's show. As always, I invite you to have your say on all things Manchester United in the comment section below. So let me know your thoughts on everything. Are you happy with Erik ten Hag's this season? What's your aspirations for this year? Do you think top four? Do you think we're going to win a trophy? Let me know all your thoughts on everything Manchester United related in the comment section below. I always like to see what you guys have to say. Let's start the show off with some positivity then, and that is we can confirm that Amad Diallo has now returned to full training with the Manchester United first team squad. So that's really, really positive. I'm really, really happy for him. And you know what? I think he's coming back at the exact right moment, because there's definitely opportunities for game time there right now. Obviously, Rashford doesn't seem to be the preferred option anymore, which I think is the right option. Obviously, Garnacho's on the left. You've got Antony on the right, which I think has worked really well, especially against Chelsea. And I think Amad Diallo has the opportunity to at least get some game time as a rotational player alongside Antony, Pellistri and Garnacho. So really, really happy for him. This was obviously meant to be his kind of breakthrough season into the first team, wasn't it? And he got injured on pre-season. He's been out since, I think, August. Like, it's crazy. It's been a good 5 or 6 months. I feel really bad for the guy. I do. Obviously, he went off to Sunderland, had a really good loan spell. He was at Rangers the season before that, and it wasn't as successful. But he was bought for, a reasonable amount of money as a youngster from Atalanta, obviously the same club where we bought Rasmus Højlund from. 21 million euros we paid for him back in 2021. He's still only 21 though, which is crazy. He turned 21 a couple of months ago. Still very, very young. Still has lots of potential. And I do think he is somebody who could break into that first team. I remember he works very hard, very fast, very skillful. The only question mark I had over Diallo before was whether he was physical enough for the Premier League. But you've got to hope that, going off on loan to Sunderland in the Championship, that should hopefully, boost his physicality, playing amongst ultimately different style of players, so hopefully, yeah, we see that. Let's have a look. AD says, I was at the game last night and it was good to see the players put a shift in. Yeah, mate, I was so happy with last night's performance. We will talk about that in a minute. Fred says, perhaps Jim Ratcliffe is making too good of an impression on the fans by sorting the club out and making them look like a bunch of leeches. Maybe. We will talk about the takeover in a second. Lumen says, Diallo is a failed signing. I don't think you can call him a failed signing, mate. We bought him as a youngster, 18, 19 years of age, as somebody for the future. He's only 21. Like, he hasn't even had a chance yet in the first team. I would give him another 2 years before you can start using the word failure. He's never really even had a go. This was meant to be his season, and obviously he got injured in pre-season. So, yeah, I'm not going to entertain the word failure on a player that's still very, very young and has, in my opinion, a bright future ahead of him. But obviously, if that's your opinion, that is completely fine. That is up to you. Let's move over to the news about Serhou Guirassy of Stuttgart. So the headline coming out in the last kind of half an hour or so actually is that talks are now ongoing between Manchester United and Guirassy's agent. No need for talks with Stuttgart. Once United agree terms with Guirassy, they can then trigger his 17.5 million euro release clause, which will be active in January. So obviously, usually you're supposed to, go through the club first. Approach the team. Are they happy to sell him? If they are, then you offer the player a contract. That's usually how a transfer should work. But obviously, because he has a release clause, Manchester United are able to speak to him directly because they know that he has this release clause. They know that it's going to be activated in about 3 weeks' time on January the 1st. So they're able to speak to him. They're able to kind of, talk about potential wages, talk about what his role would be in the team. It's hard to say that he wouldn't be a good signing purely based on the amount of money he would cost and his stats from this year. Is he world class? No. Is he better than Weghorst last season? I would say yes. Would he be welcome as another option instead of Rasmus Højlund? I think so, yes. I think Rasmus as great as he's done in the Champions League, I think he has struggled in the Premier League. Not because, he's been missing loads of opportunities. He's just not really had a sniff, has he? And that is mainly because, Garnacho, Højlund and Antony do tend to just shoot when they get the ball. What I have really liked in the last couple of games is Diallo and Luke Shaw are back and playing, and they're really, really good at putting the ball into the box. So I've been quite happy to see more balls going into the box, but a lot of the time, the balls have been finding Scott McTominay, haven't they? It seems like McTominay had maybe 3 or 4 goal-scoring opportunities yesterday. He scored 2 of them. He could have easily got a hat-trick yesterday, McTominay. Whereas Rasmus Højlund, I think he had 1 shot all game, didn't he? Which the keeper saved. So it's a little bit confusing. I wouldn't quite use the word concerning yet, because I think his work rate is unbelievable. He presses, he gives 150% every single game, and I think the goals will come for Rasmus Højlund. I just wonder whether bringing in someone like this Guirassy guy, who is clearly worth way more than 17 million euros, would that maybe take the weight off Rasmus Højlund's back? I think so, potentially. So just a bit more of information about that. So Manchester United are apparently very, very keen on this player. Apparently they're negotiating with him directly at the moment. Let's have a look at his stats quickly together. He's got 16 goals and 1 assist in 11 matches in the Bundesliga so far. Very, very good return. Second highest in the Bundesliga behind Harry Kane. So yeah, it would be interesting. Richie says Guirassy, Fabrizio said multiple clubs, including Newcastle, are interested. Yes, that is the problem here, mate. There is more than one club battling for Guirassy's signature. Obviously, this release clause makes it easy ultimately for him to move, because he has a release clause. The club trigger the release clause and he goes. It's as simple as that. There can't really be any bidding wars. It will just be a case of which club's going to pay him the most wages, which project does he like the look of the most, and do I think we should go for him? I think so, yes. Zane says Højlund opened those spaces for McTominay. Mate, 100%. Like, Højlund is not a Weghorst type player. Like, what he offers apart from scoring goals is unbelievable. So I'm really, really happy with Højlund so far. I just wonder whether, bringing in someone like Guirassy, somebody who's 27 years of age, obviously he's been around for quite a long time, as competition, as somebody to work alongside Højlund, I think it would be good, and I think it would be good for everybody. If we were talking 40, 50 million here, I would definitely say avoid at all costs, because I don't think he's worth anything near that. And the thing you have to remember is, right, if this guy didn't have a release clause, Stuttgart would be asking for 40 million plus, 100%. But the fact that he has this 17.5 million euros release clause, which is about 15 million pounds, I think it's a no-brainer. 15 million pounds is probably one of the cheapest signings we've done in recent years. When you think we spent, I think, 70 million on Højlund, 85 million on Antony, to spend 15 million on a guy who's proving it in the Bundesliga, getting the goals, getting assists as well, I think it's a no-brainer. But let me know in the comment section, guys. Do you think we should go for Guirassy, or do you think this is a player that we should dodge? Let me know what your thoughts are. We're going to move over to a little bit about the takeover. And the headline this afternoon is that apparently it's been pushed back by at least another 2 weeks. So it's not going to be announced next week, and it's not going to be announced the week after. And that is apparently because of some sort of legal things that they're having to deal with. And the headline is that once the deal is signed, that the Premier League approval will take a further 6 to 8 weeks, which ultimately means Ineos may not be in place for the January transfer window. Now, I kind of expected this to be the case now, to be completely honest with you, because if you think 6 weeks from now will be mid-January, they would have to announce it this week or next week. Otherwise, they're not going to be in time for January. Now, can they be pulling the strings without the official Premier League approval? I don't know. I'm not really sure how it works. I would imagine, though, that if Manchester United let players go, I mean, if Sancho goes, Varane goes potentially, Donny van de Beek goes, Martial goes potentially, like, I would imagine United will try and replace them, whether Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are in or not, because that will be 4 players who are in or around the first team squad gone. Obviously, I know Jadon Sancho is completely out of the picture, but, if Varane goes, you need to replace him. If Donny van de Beek goes, arguably you don't need to replace him because he doesn't play. And if, obviously, who was the other? If Martial potentially goes, like, you would need to replace him. So I think at the moment it all depends on whether we sell players or not. Fred says, would you drop Maguire when Martinez returns from injury? No, I wouldn't drop Maguire, because obviously Maguire's a right-sided centre-back, and Martinez is a left-sided centre-back. So as soon as Martinez comes back, Martinez goes on the left side of the defence and Maguire stays on the right. I think Maguire deserves to play over Varane, for me personally. Yes, I know Varane's won 5 Champions Leagues. Yes, I know he's won a World Cup, but that's all in the past. Varane can't last a week without getting injured. When he has come and played in this season, I don't think he's looked like his usual self. Is that because he's upset about being forced out of the team, potentially? Is he unhappy with his minutes? Of course, I'm sure he is. There's all these different factors which could ultimately lead us to the demise of Raphael Varane, but there isn't a single bit of doubt in my head that Maguire deserves to start over him. I think he does, and I think it would be very, very harsh if Maguire lost his place, unless obviously he has a terrible run of form. Then obviously you change it, but he hasn't put a foot wrong, in my opinion, in the last 10 games. He was really good against Chelsea. He was, like, I was watching him very carefully, and I think he had a really, really good game. Obviously, he just won the Premier League Player of the Month as well for November, which is crazy. So yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. And for me, it would be Martinez and Harry Maguire as our kind of first 2 options going forward. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's say Martinez comes back. Would you drop Maguire? Let me know. Now, just to be very, very clear, I still think in the summer we should probably look to move him on. He's 31 years of age now, and I do think we could get a better, younger option there. But for the time being, I would keep him. Somebody says, what if Jim Ratcliffe withdrew from the takeover? I don't think he would, mate, to be honest. I think Jim Ratcliffe's been in this race for far too long. I think Jim Ratcliffe will get the club. I think it's just a matter of when, not if. I think that, there's all sorts of legal stuff that needs to be dealt with in order to purchase the club. He's got to buy the shares from the New York Stock Exchange. He's got to buy shares from the Glazers. There's all sorts of different things that need to happen. So I wouldn't worry about it too much for those of you who are, getting concerned. There is some breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes, actually, which I wanted to get you guys' reaction on. This is coming out from 2 different journalists, literally in the last couple of minutes, saying that apparently Manchester United have put Varane, Casemiro and Jadon Sancho up for sale in the January transfer window. Now, let me know what you guys think of that. I think it's believable. Varane clearly isn't part of the project. Casemiro, I still like a lot, but I think he'll probably go to Saudi. And Jadon Sancho, we know for a fact, is not part of the project. So for me, I'm not massively shocked by that, but I would be quite happy if those 3 people were moved on. The only one I'd be a little bit uncertain about is Casemiro, because I do think he probably is one of our best midfielders. Although if Amrabat continues to play like he did last night, I think we've got a really, really good player there. Let's see what else people have got. Mumra says, already the Glazers can't agree a deal with a 25% buyer of the club. Imagine what will happen in the future. Yeah. Somebody else says, Amrabat's fitness is back. He was on fire last night. Yeah, 100%, mate. Amrabat was unbelievable last night. Florian says, can't we play a 3-4-2-1 with Reguilon, Varane, Shaw, Mainu, Amrabat, Garnacho, Fernandes, Mejbri, Pellistri, Højlund? To be honest with you, mate, I don't think Erik ten Hag's going to change his formation at this point in the season. I think we've just come off the back of, in my opinion, our best performance of the whole season. So I wouldn't go messing with the formation off the back of that. If we'd have just lost against Chelsea, maybe you explore that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm sure we could play that formation. I just don't think it will be something Erik ten Hag does, because, why would you go from arguably playing your best game to then starting messing with your formation? I don't think that will happen personally, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let's have a look. I'll read out a couple of your comments really, really quickly. Hendrik says they must sell all of those players as well as Rashford. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, to be honest, mate. I just don't think Rashford's going anywhere. Are PSG going to come back in for him? Potentially. Obviously, we know that Mbappe likes him. Could we see Rashford going and playing in a PSG shirt? To be honest, I actually could see Rashford in a PSG shirt. Will it happen? Probably not. But I think he would probably go there and do quite well. Although when you think about it, right, they've got Mbappe and they've got Ousmane Dembele. Like, they don't need Marcus Rashford, do they really? So I don't know. And I don't really see where else he could go personally. Like, he's not going to go to Arsenal. He probably wouldn't go to Chelsea. So, yeah, I can't see someone like Bayern or Barca coming in for him. So in short, probably not. My camera is on the move. Where are you going, camera? But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on this live stream this evening. I will obviously be back tomorrow morning about 8:30 a.m. UK time. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video before you go. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this evening. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.